Dude, I just appreciate your wisdom, and I'm lost on this issue, really.
Yeah.
I should know more about it, but, just from seeing you out at the Monday Night Jams, and then maybe a colleague of yours, I'm not sure, somebody that's involved in your community, put us in a circle one time at the jam, on the Monday Night Jam. It was really respectfully done in a way that he said, can I have your permission to have you all stand up, and I'm going to arrange you in a circle.
Yeah.
And then and Scotty took a jab at me by saying, well, Fannon's the oldest one because we were going by age, right? So he started with me and then went younger all the way around, so that when it came around to the youngest, he was standing beside me and made a point of, like, this is why the youngest takes care of the eldest. When the eldest can't, I don't know, go get his mail or whatever, the kid goes and... Yeah. So what he said was, and the exercise was, look to the person to your left and tell him that you're willing to look out for him, like you're responsible for him. So turn to the right and say that you're willing to seek their wisdom or what have you. But it was a really cool experiment that I wasn't used to, and kind of...
Yeah, I've seen similar exercises on paper, but what it actually had done, it correlated the age categories from birth right to rebirth, and so it was trying to postulate how those intersections of age would have aligned with each other at certain times, so that they could not only gain wisdom for the elderly, but also be their legs for them, because their legs and their bodies were starting to slow down. So there was that exchange of you helping me with my daily chore stuff, and I'm going to share knowledge with you. And then it went on to even with the adults correlating with the other ages too. So the whole community was involved with exchanging information and helping each other out at the same time.
Now, your organization that you work with is the Niagara Regional Native Center?
Yes.
And what's kind of your mandate?
My mandate is I run the cultural resource coordinator.
All right.
Through there to try and imbue as much culture, and assist other programs with culture, but try to bring more culturally relevant programming within the center, events as well too. Okay. And also to look at reducing the risk of violence against women. And that's one of the mandates of my program as the center. It is to bridge the communities together for a better understanding within our organizations, and to create services that would benefit our community members. And our community members are Indigenous and non-Indigenous, but to gear it towards our as everybody says, culture, which is, I think that was one of the government words that came out of writing proposals, but we just say it's our ways of life.
Right.
We're just still doing things the way that we've always been handed to us to do. So.
Now, what's your position there?
Cultural resource coordinator.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that for?
Since September.
Okay.
But it aligns with what I've been doing all along ever since about 2000 or so. Going out and trying to be, a point in the community that's trying to bring a level of awareness and understanding of who we really are, instead of, who we really are has been depicted through Hollywood for how many years, right? And through, through the military's eyes, we're what do they call it? Environmental terrorists, when we want to go out and protest pipelines and you stop all that kind of stuff. There's all of these stereotypes that are tied to us that have absolutely nothing to do with us.
So what's it look logistically like to increase the awareness or change the perceived stereotypes of so many of us,
Well, there's so many people now doing it because of the internet, which has been a game changer in a lot of ways for us. The disparate numbers are still the same. That's because it's
which numbers?
Disparate numbers, such as incarceration or involvement with justice systems, adoption rates,
murder
fosters, the missing and murdered rates. Yeah, all of those numbers haven't changed any, but the awareness is huge, and that's to me, for being an activist for so long, I can see the change. I've seen the change that the internet has brought towards the awareness campaigns that everybody's been trying to do for so many years prior to that. So everything is moving in a better way, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and that always comes with challenges too.
Yeah. So what do you figure square one looks like in this whole process of fixing so many issues? Fixing so many issues makes it sound really simple,
But
so deep.
Yeah, trying to. I've said that to somebody before. Sometimes, we should create an idle no more page for every fire that we fight as indigenous peoples, and you would see the amount of different things that we are challenged with every day. These things run through our minds every day. Something comes up. It triggers those emotions from other things that are going on at the same time too, right? So if you look at every institute of the government, we're in battles against every institute of the government. We don't have nobody sitting on the Chamber of Commerce. We don't have anybody sitting in City Hall. We don't have anybody sitting on the Board of Education. Anybody in a trustee spot that can make decisions on our behalf, or at least put the arguments to the table and say, no, that's not the way it is. What you're hearing is something that you learned that isn't true.
Right. So how do you seek more inclusivity then? I mean,
just keep pushing the issues. Keep pushing the issues and let it be known where we want to be.
Yeah, but do you feel like there's not a whole lot of natives that are saying, yeah, I'm going to run for city council. Yeah, I'm going to get on the school board. Yeah, I'm going to...
No, it's starting.
Oh, is it?
It's starting,
okay.
Yeah.
So
it's starting, and so you have to remember that for all this time, there still exists a huge mistrust with government, regardless of what it is.
Okay.
Anything with the government has not been a good thing for our peoples. So so overcoming that that rightfully so way of thinking is now being viewed as a way to help get things done in the future for our future. So it's starting slowly, and it's going across the country. That was evident in the last election, the amount of indigenous people that actually voted. So, that's a start.
It was up.
Yeah, it's a start. It's a start, and we're trying to do that here in St. Catharines too. There's a couple of young upcomers that are looking to try to somehow get involved within City Hall, which is something that would be huge for us because our involvement in this area spreads back 11,000, 12,000 years. And there's presence of our peoples on this land's being used, the resources being used somehow. All the major roadways are old trails. You have the Bruce Trail. You have the number 8 highway that stretches from Queenston all the way to Lake Huron. Those are just some of the examples of the trails because when non-native peoples came here, they had to travel around somehow. They had to follow around through the woods, this was huge hardwoods back then. So they were already, the paths were already cut. All they had to do was keep following them. So there's so much history here too. It's just unbelievable.
At the level of education's got to be a huge barrier as well. I mean, I was shocked to find out, and only recently learned, that 90+% of the native peoples were killed by flu and small, like foreign. I don't know, the common cold or what have you. Yeah, it was 90+% of them were wiped out by disease. And that was obviously brought over, and they didn't have any exposure to that, so their immune system was non-existent when it came to fighting those things. But I had no idea.
When we travel into foreign countries, you have to get shots.
Yeah.
So that you don't pick up the common.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Right?
And then we went to war with the savages. You talk about the stereotypes from Hollywood. I mean, wow. Has that changed any? Have you seen that changing at all as far as the stereotypes?
It's changing because there's people even involved within higher levels who are bringing forward those issues. When films are created now, we're starting to see more and more that they're getting involved and trying to be more knowledgeable and more precise with all
their
character development and language being used, and if you can find funny clips on on YouTube about what was that Kevin Costner movie?
Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, and some of the things they were saying to him in the language, I think it was Navajo, they were saying to him, like they didn't have a clue what they were saying to him, but somebody had actually translated what they were saying, and it's actually pretty hilarious. So, but those kind of things of actually involving people's of who they're trying to depict to get some truth out of there, and not just making crap up.
Right.
Because that does so much damage. And that's proven.
Well, and we expect that out of Hollywood fiction, but then when you're talking about a whole, race of people, then and maybe you can speak to a little bit of the different tribes. I mean, there's so many of those as well, and different languages.
Yeah.
And I saw a native map of North America. Wow, is that ever cool looking before a white man came here?
Yeah. Well, and tribes is something that they say in America.
Okay.
We say nations.
Oh, right.
It's just one thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. No problem. I'm
sure I'm not the only one.
It's all a huge
Not that
education.
That makes it
right?
a good reason.
Got to start somewhere. Currently, there's 610 nations, people in Canada, and almost as many in the United States. Prior to contact, there was estimated anywhere, 100 to 125 million people living on the continent. So it's a quarter of the U.S. population, well over the Canadian population.
Sure.
So there were, and the archaeological digs that nobody ever sees the evidence of, even around here too. That we lived in governed societies. That's how we lasted so long. We took care of ourselves. Yeah,
I was somewhere, and I can't remember. Well, I'm hanging out with these young hippies, and they've got a wisdom that's been handed down, even though they don't share the nationality. They kind of respect it, maybe because of guys like you and your influence coming around, and we're standing somewhere, and someone was pouring water out and saying, I took this and I'm giving it back to you. It's such a great wisdom and respect for and I'm always surprised because I grew up obviously in a Christian society like most of us do. So when I hear you speak at an event, what do you call the opening when you give the blessing?
Address,
yeah, and then you're referring to the Creator, and I'm like, hey. That's my language.
Yeah.
Says, well, what do you mean? I didn't think you.
Yeah.
You're not Christian. But it's a different. Very spiritual, and that's even the ignorant like me can look at, an authentic ceremony and go, wow. I mean, it's beautiful and very respectful, and it's just loaded with wisdom and. It's just such a squandered opportunity, it seems like, to not incorporate that wisdom in, because we're all dying because of it. I mean, we're all
killing the planet slowly, ever so slowly. Plastic. It's one of the biggest.
And drugs, coffee.
Yeah. Give me more. Well, even these things too.
Yeah.
It's just what they're made out of. It comes from natural resources.
So what do you find that you're drawn to? What's your passion inside of your work? What's something that really gets you fired up?
Everything has always been about music for me, ever since I was a kid. It took me to an adult to figure that out. And as long as I'm involved with something that has music content in it somewhere along the line, I'm pretty good with that. Because it's when I'm around music, I'm just a little kid again.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because I look at you like a little kid. It must be your spirit or something, but at the Monday Night Jams, I didn't know you could wail on guitar so well, because every time, I inserted myself as the cook, and until it got to be too big, and then it was more of a party than it was a jam, but we had a really cool thing going there for a while with the 5 or 10 of us, and then I'd get on the bongos, and forearms were on fire from banging this skin. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
I can't even beat a bongo without going into a huge sweat here. And then you just seem to fade into the background, maybe because G was playing there and just played the rhythm guitar. And then I see you wailing at the Niagara region The other day, I said to Aaron Berger, I said, I had no idea Phil could play like that, man. He says, oh, yeah. So, yeah, respect to you, man. I never see you go off like that before. But, you were winding it up on the electric guitar there last time I saw you.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. When we get together with the younger, I love watching the younger guys play because they're so passionate about their craft. You know, you can see the love in it, and you can hear it when they play too. So giving them the room to do that, you know, I just consider myself an old guy that just likes music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny because you know the word elder is getting thrown around an awful lot with me. You know what I mean? And it's strange the amount of wisdom I get from a guy like G. You know, who's a 21-year-old guy.
22. Yeah. I asked him that the other day. I forgot to explain that. So, G, the reason I asked you,
he's on here too. You're getting a lot of love on Facebook.
Is because I seen something from the Kitchener Blues Fest. I was looking for groups, and you had to be 21. Contact the Kitchener Blues Festival, but you missed it by a year, man.
G wants you to talk about the treaties. You're getting a lot of love on Facebook. Basically, everyone that's come on. Big love. Love you, Phil. Big love. Talk about the treaties. G wants you to talk about the treaties. So maybe we can go down that road. But just staying with your passion a little bit more, talk to me about the music. I mean, I've seen you perform, you know, Monday Night Jams, also with the Perpetual Peace Project, which, you know, isn't so active this year, it seems, but it's kind of one of those.
It's kind of filtered into a lot of things, eh? That whole philosophy behind what was started back then by so many people. It's kind of filtered into other things that are going on now. It's actually helped birth a lot of acts that are out there now too. Yeah. You know, so it's
so Old Child.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I was saying to G the other day, I said, you know, most times you look back at it 10 years, 20 years later, or 5 years later and go, wow, that was a really special time. And then sometimes you're sitting there and you're blessed with the amount of awareness to say, this is one of those times. This could be one of those times. And the other, you know, your last gig, well, not your last gig, but the last time you played at Taps for the open mic was, you know, your last show at that night for that open mic thing. And we had just come from G's. He was shooting his video. Yep. It was late. You know, you could tell he wanted to get up there and jam and not wait for everyone else to go up with their karaoke act. And so he gets up there and wow, Frank Ivy on sax. Yep. I mean, you wailing on the guitar, Bram on bass, and then Sean on the kit. I never see, you know, every time I see Sean, he plays something not bad. Yeah. And then I think he's going to be the same way on the drums. I'm like, I've never seen Rafiq on the drums before. Yeah. And he was killing it. Yep. Like, it didn't even look like he was working at it. It looked like he'd been playing for quite a while, except his bass drum kept sliding across the floor. So tell me a little bit about Old Child. You got, you guys, I know you've got a show coming up, Warehouse. I love that. Great sounding venue as well. And that is almost like its own PPP from the standpoint that guys come and go, and you got 10 guys, and then you get 15 guys, and you get 7 guys, and it seems like it just grows. And
Well, originally it was Frankie and I met.
Okay.
A couple of years back.
Frank Ivy.
Yeah, and
hell of a singer.
Through. Oh, he's great.
You play some sax too.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just
he's a sexy man. I don't know. He can do with his music, man. Just makes me
and his voice.
Totally
I love his voice. I just love the way he puts himself out there, and he's never heard me sing in public before.
Yeah, and his kid. I know his kid, Al.
Alan, yeah.
He can wail his like everyone's saying. No, you never seen Alan sing. Like I've known Al Ivy since back in the day when we used to hang out at the Mansion House.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm like, no, really? Oh yeah, hell of a singer. And then I had him on for the the Sessions on the River gig. They played last right at midnight, and man, can he sing! But Frank, he's got that old school. Blues or whatever it is that he comes from. Yeah,
well, he's a jazz guy for sure.
Jazz, okay.
Yeah. He's actually.
But you guys do a little bit of a blues jazzy
blending. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It just kind of happened naturally. With Frankie and I, we met through a mutual friend who I actually met kind of accidentally just prior to that through a gig down Niagara Falls with Big Drum there. were given accommodations for the convention, and they said, "Hey, we're gonna have a band in." So we went down and seen the band, and they were playing. Said, "Anybody want to get up and jam?" And jumped up and played a couple songs with them, and got talking after, and realized that, and found out that the drummer was working at that time with my cousin, and we knew another bass player, a native guy from up north, and then I started getting together with him, and he said, "Oh, I got the sax guy I want to bring in," so we brought him in. Frankie and I, within the first night that we got together, we started writing a song. I just started playing something, he's ever singing to it, and we've been on the go ever since.
So you're gonna put an album out?
Yes, we're hoping to record in June. So,
really?
yeah.
You get a bunch of songs, your own songs?
Oh yeah.
Which you're all playing on when you go out?
Yep.
How many tunes you got? You figure?
I think we got 12.
That's good enough for an album.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope we can get permission on a couple of those obscure cover songs that we do.
Yeah,
too.
you're gonna do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
It won't hurt to try, because some of those older tunes are, some of those tunes that we picked too. They have obscure words to them, but they still have those familiar musical hooks to them, right?
Now, how do you work in the music into your cause and your work that you do? Is there any?
Well, the philosophy for me is not to just, sing about the disparities all at once. It's imbuing little snippets, just the way Hollywood did, back into the music that we write. Old Child, just seeing us on the stage tells you a lot because of our visual presence. We have a worldly visual presence. That statement there says a lot, and that wasn't done by any design. It just happened that way. And that's something that it was an afterthought too. But we were more drawn to the spirit of those guys that we wanted to play with. Mm-hmm. And some of the songs that we write, we talk about Creator. We talk about things that are going on with Mother Earth here on the planet. We talk. One song, an actual Old Child song, is I need to lay down my thanks to realize. And laying down my thanks means taking my traditional medicines and putting on the ground in a prayer and offering to Creator for this life that I have. Those kind of little things that are put in and injected into the songs, even here. Even in the way that sometimes I'll use the kind of powwow vocal bowls in behind some of the backing harmonies sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'll put those into the songs too, So it's just imbuing little snippets here and there.
Is there any intersection, though, with like the work that you're doing and the outreach or the inside your community as far as the music goes, or
not yet?
More of an external.
I can see myself going that way,
okay.
but not yet. I'm having so much fun now. Just one little thing at a time. Mm-hmm. I can see that. I can see that coming though.
For sure. Well, what a way to inspire people and move them is, externally and internally too. It's such a healing medicine, music,
Yeah, and then for us as Old Child, like having that visual expression on stage is, something that, like I said, it wasn't done by design, but now that it exists, it's a huge statement when you can see so many people from the different parts of the world visually coming together. To just offer, I think almost all of our songs are just messages of love and hope and peace. And almost every song that we play, it has those good messages.
Love your brother.
About being a good human being.
So I would normally, as a ignorant white man, say, "What's your nationality? What's your nation?" Is that where do you come from? I know you speak.
I speak some.
A couple of the languages, right?
Haudenosaunee, which is what we call ourselves.
Okay.
But history's called us many different things, depending on how far back you read, starting with the 5 nations to the 6 nations, to the Iroquois. But we call ourselves the Haudenosaunee, and that's what everything's being translated to now.
That's the umbrella that has all the nations under it?
Of the 6 nations.
Oh,
yeah.
6.
Yes,
but there's 4.
There was originally 5, and that's what the British used to write about. So there's it was a Mohawk, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and in the early 1700s, the Tuscaroras from down North Carolina asked to be adopted into the our confederacy because they were being decimated by the Dutch peoples. So they came under the umbrella of the confederacy to be protected, to save themselves. So that's where the sixth nation.
Only six. Now, when I look at that North American map, it looks like a whole lot more than
we're
six.
Just the Haudenosaunee. We're just the Haudenosaunee. There's also Anishinaabe, Cree, Lakota, Sioux, Cherokee, Seminole. You know, it just goes on and on and on and on. And then there's all subcategories underneath that of different, you know, us as the Haudenosaunee. There's 6 different nations of people that make up the Haudenosaunee. You know, so as the Sioux, there's 3 different nations under the Sioux. There's Anishinaabe. There's 3 different nations under that. So when you see that map, there's multitudes of nations within that territory. It's like, it would be like looking at Niagara region. How many municipalities? They all govern themselves as municipalities, right?
Right.
That would have been
So you have different customs,
different languages, different clothing, different speech, different ways of hunting.
faiths, or does that run pretty common?
Well, overall, it would have been relatively the same.
Right.
You know, it's like, it would be like, I don't know, comparing it to Christianity.
Right. Okay.
You know,
Just different denominations of the same type of religion.
yeah, everybody has semantics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool,
and so
man.
a lot of commonalities, and that's a lot of things that I've been doing since like 2000 is trying to let people know that we're really, really different, just like you guys are.
Yeah.
And you know, you're not all just Caucasian peoples. You know, you can't just all say you're all white people. That stigma cannot exist, you know, because it's so diverse and it's just the same here. It's just we never wrote anything down. It was when the colonizers got here, they wrote it down, and they wrote it down the way they wanted to, so that they could amass wealth through landed resources.
Mm-hmm. What do you find yourself when you come up against someone like me, and you must all the time, and they're, you know, curious, and they want information, and maybe they get some good questions, or I mean, what's the basis of where you start as far as, you know?
What's when I pull up my drum and start?
Yeah. No, but I mean, this must be on your lips an awful lot as far as education. So you start with what normally? Well,
first start by answering the question as best as I possibly can.
No, but if you were to offer information for a guy like me that doesn't really understand and say, okay, well, listen, this is where we come from. This is what we're looking to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, I say if you got a Facebook account, start at Idle No More. I've done that a lot. It's people go on to Idle No More and start reading. Start doing your own research behind those articles instead of reading all the comments. You know, all the negative comments. They're always going to exist.
Sure.
You know, you can concentrate on that, or you can concentrate on finding out the truth for yourself. And the truth of ourselves as anything in life is going to be our perspective of it, and the more that we allow ourselves to view, the better our perspective is going to be, more well-rounded our decision about what this truth is in front of me is going to be. And you can have a narrow-minded perspective of things, but that's only one perspective.
You know, the other day, I can't remember who it was that quoted, I mean, everyone's claiming oppression nowadays. You know, I mean, like, I joked the other day, I'm 49, I'm single, I have no children, and I've never been married. There's no program for me. People laugh, but I am oppressed. Yeah. I am so, like, different from almost anyone. I met a 49-year-old girl the other day, never married, with no kids. It's like the first time.
Wow.
But somebody said something, you know, this thing about race that we've got going on right now, and I'm oppressed. I'm more oppressed than you are. And somebody said, you know what? I'm a member of the human race. I think we forget that. And Ashbu Schultz, of all people, the lead singer, you know, of USS, they played at Brock. I love him. The two-piece, Human Kebab and Ashbu, and he covered a Tragically Hip song and said, there's one thing we all have common in this room. And I think we keep forgetting that. He's the heartbeat. And we're a member of the human race. Who cares what color our skin is? Who cares about our sexual orientation or our religion? I mean, but it seems like we we put so much emphasis on that these days, and we forget that
Well,
we're all going. Hey, we came from a pretty dark place, full of murder and blood spilling. Up, and we're still not in a great place, but we've come a long way. We've made progress, and we're still making it. But what we forget is the same people that were fighting back then have all come up together, and we've got this long way to go. As long as the Creator or the Earth will let us will let us live on this planet. And I thought Jacob Bergsman said the other day, and I'm not sure. I thought it was a cool thing to say. He says, "I'm against anything that divides us." I'm like, okay, well, I have to really think that one through. But it's almost like we've lost perspective, and we get so judgmental, and we get so stuck in our ways. And so you call it narrow-mindedness, whether it's myopic or whatever. It's you get your blinders on, and that's all you see is people of your color and your faith, and what do you expect? You don't have any access to diversity, and especially growing up in Niagara region. I mean, we're so white in this region; it's unbelievable. It's changing now. Yeah. We're seeing, the Asian influence come in probably because of the schools and stuff like that, and the Toronto influence coming in. So now we've seen a little bit more diversity.
Even the island influence from the farmers now too.
Right? Yeah. And man, when I grew up in school, my whole time from K to 8. I had one black kid in my and the whole time. He was great. I should look him up. We all had such a great time together. We're all such great friends, but we could care less.
It's been one of the bells, if I was saying.
No, I won't say it just in case he doesn't want to be outed. But I didn't go to school at the Bells, but I know who you're talking about.
Because there was only so many families. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There was only back then.
Yeah, I used to joke with Downtown Denny. He used to remember he was a custodian over at Eden. And he used to hang out. He died 4 years ago, black guy. And I'm like, "Dennis, I saw you in Port Dalhousie." I said, "I wasn't in Port Dalhousie." I said, "It had to be you." I saw a black guy at Port, and it had to be. You're the only guy in St. Catharines. Yeah. Anyways, Phil, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in. And, I'm looking forward to getting a jam rolling today, too. Yeah. So I don't know if you brought your drum or anything, but where can people get a hold of you? And
get a hold of me on Facebook. At the Niagara Regional Native Center. You can get a hold of me there. And if you don't have my number, then you're one of the few. Very easy to reach and at any time. And I was willing to talk or come in and sit down and talk. And the more outreach that we do is only going to make life easier for my children and my grandchildren and your grandchildren.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Because our populations are growing.
Tell me about your boy.
My boy, Caden Cooper?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He seems to be out at all the events, and I love that he participates. Yeah, but the last time he was out, he looked a little frustrated.
Yeah, he was tired. He was tired. He just wanted to go home and go to sleep.
How old is he?
He's 12. He's going on 13.
Now, he's got some musical skills as well. I see him
he plays
beating the drum up there. Does he?
He plays the keyboard, and he was actually taught by Ashley Standish and Sean Complicat. So.
Sean's on here too. He said, "Love you, Phil."
Brother.
And Ashley actually had a change of plans. She was going to be here as well, right at 2:00, but she had a change of plans, so she's going to catch up with us next time. So, I really appreciate the mentorship, Phil, and you, whether you've known it or not, you've been an influence on my life. I mean, just by watching you, you know what I mean, and. I'm a hugging guy, I don't care. And you give good hugs, bro. You don't come in at that size and not be able to give a good hug, man.
That's a great compliment, because that's the best thing we can do is just be that role model, or just try to be yourself and be the best role model at being that, right? And hopefully that influences others too. And that's the approach to Old Child too, is just, this is what we love, and this is what we do, and we try to do every song like it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, so when's the gig at Warehouse?
May 11th, and that's opening for Roadways.
Oh, so you're opening for the CD release party?
Yes.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, May, on the 20th, 4/20, we're doing an open jam at Mate.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, and then on the 28th, in the Soil, we're playing Merch Ale House at 5 p.m.
420. I know what that sounds familiar because Super Troopers 2 comes out on 420.
Yeah, and then LMT's over at the warehouse at the same time too.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh.
LMT is
So
still kicking, eh? They play every week.
Hoping
25
opening band for them one day. Yeah, I think it would be
Leroy?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good match.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those guys are legends.
Oh.
And they've been, talk about a hard-working band. They played every week for, what, 30 years?
Yep.
And they have a weekly gig, right, in the fall?
In Toronto.
Oh.
In Toronto, I forget
What,
somebody...
some room or
I was
something.
just looking at it the other day, too.
Yeah, I can't remember. I didn't know it was in Tealto. I thought for some reason it was in Niagara
Somebody will
Falls.
tell us on here.
Yeah.
Somebody will remember. It escapes my mind at the moment.
Yeah.
Hughes Room?
Could be.
Could be the Hughes Room.
Yeah. The Hughes Room, they managed to keep that open, eh? They were going to close that thing.
Like, I can't remember. It just escapes me at the moment.
Yeah. So May 11th at the warehouse, 420 at Mate, and that's an open jam hosted by you guys, so anybody can
anybody come
roll
on
up and shake their shakers or tambourines
do
or
whatever they want. Yeah.
wail away on the microphone.
Yeah. And then the 28th of April, Merchant Ale House in the Soil Festival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 5 o'clock we're on for a set.
We got a lot of familiar people playing in the Soil this year.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Burger Blake and Gould are playing,
Yep.
and that festival's come a long way. Last year was great. My Son the Hurricane playing Saturday night right on James Street.
Yeah, that was great. A little chilly, but it was still nice.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Yeah, Roadways open was there too. That's right.
Road Waves jammed in my basement here the other night.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get to see some of that.
Yeah. I've never pulled all the furniture out of here, and like I designed this to sound good, figuring that I would leave this part open so that it would look decent.
Yep.
But when I pull everything out, and all you can see is moving blankets everywhere. But Scotty says, "Well, you could probably get some drapes, and cover them up and stuff." I'm like, yeah, who cares?
Whatever.
Yeah. All right, Phil, well, let's get our jam on, brother.
All right,
I appreciate it. I love you, man. I appreciate
you
your
too,
time coming on, and thanks for everybody that chimed in. And we'll do this again sometime, eh?
Yes, man.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Cool, man.
Peace. Right.